Chapter 936. Back in the Tianxian domain, on the day of his wedding with Mulan's, he was defeated by Lu Ming. He swore that one day, he would return the favor tenfold and defeat Lu Ming. For this, he cultivated extremely hard. With the help of the Shangguan clan, he improved rapidly. At that time, he also heard that Lu Ming had entered the Nine Dragons city and beaten up his mother. At that time, he wanted to find Lu Ming to take revenge. However, later on, there was news of the Shangguan clan's prodigy, Shangguan Jinjue, being killed. Later on, there was news of Lu Ming fighting other prodigies. Lu Ming's battle prowess had obviously surpassed his. This made him jealous and crazy. This made him cultivate even harder. He wanted to awaken his god-level bloodline and suppress Lu Ming. However, before he could awaken his god-level bloodline, Lu Ming suppressed everyone in the exchange. He even defeated the prince of the Middle Continent's ancient imperial dynasty. Later on, it directly led to the Battle of the Nine Dragons City. In that battle, not only was his grandfather, Shangguan Zhongyuan, killed, but even the Wang clan's supreme martial artist was almost killed by Lu Ming. After that, Lu Ming successfully escaped from the Nine Dragons City. After that battle, Lu Ming's fame reached its peak. However, Sheng Xing was not discouraged. He believed that Lu Ming only relied on the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. He did not know what method he used to control the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Even without the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron, he could still defeat Lu Ming. Later on, he successfully awakened his third god-level bloodline, which greatly increased his confidence. In the Battle of Destiny, he obtained a great opportunity, and his cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds, reaching the first level of Spirit Embryo Realm. He was even more confident. He felt that he could easily crush Lu Ming. However, everything that happened just now, including Lu Ming's two simple moves, completely destroyed his confidence. It turned out that in front of Lu Ming, he was actually so insignificant and vulnerable. No, I must kill him. I must. Sheng Xing's eyes were red. He directly used bloodline fusion and transformed into a 7 stars bloodline. He exploded with extreme power and attacked Lu Ming. If he did not kill Lu Ming, he would not be at ease. His martial heart would collapse. And from then on, it would be difficult for his martial cultivation to improve. Vast starlight pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not even look, and directly punched at the starlight. Boom! The starlight trembled, and a miserable shriek came from within. Then, the starlight collapsed and turned back into the holy star. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood, and fell to the ground like a pile of mud. His face was filled with despair. His aura was weak, and there was no fluctuation of vital essence. Lu Ming's punch earlier had already destroyed his spirit embryo, and crippled his cultivation. I've said it before. Those 3 moves are your last chance to attack. Lu Ming glanced at the sacred star coldly, and did not bother to look at him again. At the side, the other young men retreated in horror. They were also prodigies, but their combat power was not as strong as Sheng Xing's, so they were naturally shocked. Wang Chen, it's your turn. Lu Ming looked at Wang Chen. Haha, you think you can fight me after defeating a piece of trash? What a joke. Alright, I'll let you see how big the gap is between us. Wang Chen smiled disdainfully as he slowly stepped forward. With every step he took, his aura would increase by a bit. Boom, boom, boom. The pure purple heavenly fire on Wang Chen's body soared into the sky. It was as if half the sky was dyed purple. The flames roared, and Wang Chen's eyes turned cold. 5th level of Spirit Embryo Realm? There was a faint sneer at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. 5th level of Spirit Embryo Realm was only 1 level higher than Lu Ming. Wang Haoxian, watch how I destroy him. After the Battle of Providence is over, I'll destroy your cultivation and sell you to a brothel. I'll let you know the consequences of betraying the Wang family. Wang Chen's voice traveled far, and Wang Haoxian's face turned pale. Wang Chong said something similar before, but he's dead now. Now, I'll send you down to accompany him. Lu Ming said coldly. You killed Wang Chong? Then you deserve to die. Wang Chen's murderous intent surged. He suddenly took a step forward, and threw a punch at Lu Ming. For kinds of intents surrounded him. Lu Ming activated the hell-suppressing heaven skill, and similarly threw a punch. Boom! When the two fists collided, the void vibrated. Wang Chen's body swayed, and he staggered backward. However, Lu Ming did not retreat at all. Everyone at the scene suddenly widened their eyes and sucked in a breath of cold air. They were shocked. Lu Ming knocked Wang Chen back with one punch. How was that possible? Everyone was surprised when Lu Ming easily crushed the sacred star. But no one thought that Lu Ming could fight with Wang Chen. The difference between the sacred star and Wang Chen was like heaven and earth. There was no comparison at all. Wang Haoxian's eyes lit up. Inside the mountain valley, when Yuezhang, Gong Fei, and Meng Jia's eyes lit up with pleasant surprise. Wang Chen, on the other hand, was furious. Damn it! Wang Chen roared furiously, his murderous aura soaring to the sky. He was actually forced to retreat by Lu Ming. This was completely different from what he had imagined. In his expectations, he would be able to beat Lu Ming half to death with one punch. Lu Ming, you must have used all your strength in that punch, right? But let me tell you, I only used half of my strength. Don't think you can stop me. Wang Chen said coldly. Oh, is that so? I only used 20% of my strength just now. Lu Ming said casually. Nonsense. You're boasting shamelessly. Strength isn't something that can be measured with words. Wang Chen's aura became stronger, and his flaming divine fist shook the world. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He was right. He had only used 20% of his strength earlier. However, it was obvious that no one believed him. Let the truth speak for itself. He stepped out and punched again. This time the power of his punch was even stronger. It collided with Wang Chen's fist again, and Wang Chen was knocked back again. This time, there was a look of disbelief in his eyes. His strength had increased, but Lu Ming's strength had also increased. He couldn't accept it. At the same time, he was a little shocked. Was Lu Ming telling the truth? Did he only use 20% of his strength? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Kill! Wang Chen exuded a cold killing intent. His bloodline appeared, and 5 golden chakras shone brightly. He turned into a purple flame, a level 5 divine bloodline. In fact, most of the talents in the top 100 of the list of top 1,000 talents had level 5 divine bloodline. Very few of them had reached level 6. The 6 supreme masters of the 6 ancient families only had level 6 divine bloodline. How many supreme masters were there in the entire eastern wilderness? They had accumulated over a long period of time. Swoosh! The flame turned into a sword and slashed at Lu Ming. Roar! Lu Ming released 2 streams of dragon power. His body swelled, and scales appeared on his skin. He looked demonic. Bam! Chapter 937. Lu Ming stepped forward and punched the flaming combat sword with his fists like 2 huge hammers. The flaming combat sword vibrated violently and was unable to fight back. The rest of the people from Emperor Heaven Divine Palace looked on in shock. Their eyes widened in disbelief. Wang Chen, who was ranked 43rd on the list of top 1,000 talents, was completely suppressed by Lu Ming. No one would have believed it if they had not seen it with their own eyes. Lu Ming was indeed very powerful during the exchange meet between the 3 sects in 9 Dragons City. However, there was still a huge gap between him and the top 100. It had only been a short while and Lu Ming had reached this stage. Everyone in the top 100 was a genius among geniuses. Lu Ming had improved and so had they. It could only be said that Lu Ming's improvement was too terrifying. Boom! 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 Wang Chen's fists continued to hit the flaming combat sword. Finally, with a bang, the flaming combat sword exploded and turned into flames. The flames drifted backward and reformed into Wang Chen's appearance. However, Wang Chen was now in a sorry state. His face was pale and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. His aura was weak, and he was obviously seriously injured. He looked at Lu Ming in horror and retreated wildly. Lu Ming took a step forward and charged forward. Wang Chen must die today. Nangong Bo, save me! Wang Chen shouted as he retreated. Lu Ming's eyes lit up, and he continued to attack. Stop! With a cold shout, a young man stepped into the air and pointed his finger. The sound of a phoenix could be heard and a fiery red phoenix flew out, charging toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He punched out and defeated the phoenix. Then he continued to attack Wang Chen. How dare you! Didn't you hear what I said? The young man's eyes were cold, and his body emitted light. In a flash, he appeared in front of Wang Chen. His eyes shone with a terrifying light. He also exuded a terrifying aura that was far stronger than Wang Chen's. Nangong Bo, ranked 32nd on the list of top 1,000 talents, was a talent from the Nangong clan, one of the 6 ancient families. Nangong Bo is about to attack. In the valley, when Yuezhang had a grave look on his face, the spirit fire between his eyebrows pulsed as he prepared to make a move at any time. Nangong Bo was not someone Wang Chen could compare to. Nangong Bo, if you continue to block me, I'll kill you too. Lu Ming shouted coldly and pressed forward. He kill me too. Let's see how you're going to kill me. Nangong Bo's eyes were ice cold, and the fiery red glow around him intensified. This glow was like fire, yet not fire. Within the glow, there seemed to be the cry of a phoenix. The dark phoenix spirit seal was the most powerful technique of the Nangong family. Scram! Lu Ming's answer was very simple. He threw out a punch. Nangong Bo struck out with his palm. The cry of a phoenix rang out as a phoenix condensed and flew towards Lu Ming. As its wings flapped, a terrifying killing intent overflowed. This was a phoenix condensed from the Azure Phoenix spirit imprint. It possessed terrifying power. It looked beautiful, but it was full of killing intent. Lu Ming's fist collided with the phoenix silently. However, Lu Ming's expression changed, and he couldn't help but retreat a few steps. He felt a tearing pain coming from his fist. Sweeping his gaze, he discovered that the scales on his fist had cracked and fresh blood was seeping out. What a terrifying Azure Phoenix spirit seal. It was silent, yet it could take one's life. Furthermore, Nangong Bo's cultivation was also very terrifying. He had reached the early stage of the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm. His abilities were much stronger than Wang Chen's. Chirp! The cry of a phoenix rang out again as Nangong Bo stepped forward. With a wave of his hand, another phoenix flew out, filled with killing intent. He wanted to kill Lu Ming. He was incomparably powerful. Then I'll kill you too. Lu Ming snorted, and the dragon force in his body burst forth again. 5 dragon forces burst forth, and Lu Ming's strength increased by several times. With a punch, the phoenix collapsed. How can this be? Nangong Bo was shocked. With a wave of his hands, 2 phoenixes rushed out. Lu Ming punched with both fists. The vital essence in his body roared, propelled by 4 different conceptions, and activated the hell-suppressing heaven skill. Boom! Boom! Frantically collapsing, Lu Ming took large strides forward. Nangong Bo's expression was ugly. Phoenix cries rang out continuously, and his entire body glowed. His fingers continuously formed seals in the air, and another phoenix flew out. This one seemed to have a life of its own, and its power was even stronger. Lu Ming punched continuously for a few days, and the sky rumbled like thunder. It took him 8 consecutive punches to break the phoenix apart. However, Nangong Bo condensed another phoenix. Nangong Bo was indeed very powerful. Even if they were in the same realm, the higher ranked the geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents were, the stronger they were. Otherwise, how could they be ranked at the top? Behind Nangong Bo, Wang Chen was overjoyed. With Nangong Bo around, he wouldn't die. A sinister glint flashed in his eyes as he pondered how to kill Lu Ming. Today he was crushed by Nangong Bo. He had lost face, and he had to take revenge. His eyes flashed, and he looked at Wang Haoxian. He sneered and flew toward Wang Haoxian. What are you doing? Wang Haoxian was shocked and quickly retreated. Since Lu Ming cares so much about you, I'll kill you in front of him, hee. Wang Chen sneered. He wanted to kill Wang Haoxian in front of Lu Ming and distract Lu Ming so that Nangong Bo could kill him. Wang Chen, you're courting death. Lu Ming's eyes were cold, and he kept punching. However, Nangong Bo's combat strength was too strong, and he entangled Lu Ming tightly. For a moment he couldn't rush out. Hee, you're really anxious. Wang Chen sneered, and closed in on Wang Haoxian. Buzz! Suddenly, the space lit up, and endless inscriptions shone. A formation appeared, and several ice dragons condensed and pounced toward Wang Chen. When Yuezhang, Wang Chen was furious. Flames spread out, and he fought with the ice dragons. However, he had just been injured by Lu Ming, and his combat strength had weakened. He couldn't break the formation at all. When Yuezhang Gongfei and Meng Jia stepped on the air, with every step they took, inscriptions would spread out under their feet. Inscriptions flashed around the space. Oh no, they're setting up a formation. Stop them. Kill. At the side, the other sky prides of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace roared and unleashed their true origin energy, charging toward Wen Yuezhang and the others. However, the formation shone, and ice swords floated in the air, piercing through the void. Several sky prides screamed and were killed by the ice swords. Wen Yuezhang, how dare you kill the sky prides of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace? You must die. Nangongbo roared. You should worry about yourself. 9 dragons appeared above Lu Ming's head, and he transformed into 9 dragons. Nangongbo's pupils constricted, and a fiery red phoenix appeared above his head. He was also a level 5 divine realm cultivator. Roar. The 9 dragons roared, and their devouring power erupted. They stepped on the void and used the 9 dragons' sky stomp. The phoenix let out a long cry, and also used its killer move to fight against the 9 dragons. The dragon and phoenix fought in the air, making people feel as if they had returned to ancient times, when hundreds of beasts fought for supremacy. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Lu Ming became more and more courageous as he fought, and he began to suppress Nangongbo phoenixes, and true dragons were on the same level. But the 9 dragons were stronger than ordinary true dragons. They were known as the 10 strongest beasts in the world, and their combat strength was invincible. Chapter 938. Puchi. The 9 dragons unleashed their might and tore off one of the phoenix's wings. The phoenix let out a mournful cry, and its aura weakened as it retreated rapidly. The 9 dragons executed the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and chased after the phoenix, striking out with their 9 claws. Wounds appeared on the phoenix's body as it cried out in pain, and its eyes were filled with fear. With a final cry, the phoenix turned and ran, turning into a beam of light and disappearing into the distance. Nangongbo had escaped. Lu Ming did not chase after him. Nangongbo's battle prowess was very strong, and his cultivation was 2 levels higher than his. Even if Lu Ming could win, it would not be that easy to kill Nangongbo. Run. Nangongbo's escape caused the people of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace to panic. All of them screamed in horror, wanting to escape. However, the inscriptions in the surroundings shone, and a formation appeared, trapping them. When Yuezhang Gongfei Meng Jia and Jimai attacked at the same time, trapping them in that area. Lu Ming, who had transformed into 9 dragons, took a step forward and appeared in front of Wang Chun, looking at him coldly. No, damn it. Wang Chun was terrified, and a chill ran down his spine. He had never expected Lu Ming to be so terrifying. Even Nangongbo was not his match. After being severely injured by Lu Ming, Nangongbo had fled alone. Lu Ming had not used his full strength in the battle earlier. Whoosh! Lu Ming directly struck out with his claws. Puchi! Although Wang Chun tried his best to block, one of his arms was still torn off. Wang Chun screamed, and his eyes were filled with despair. Lu Ming transformed back into his human form and stepped forward, punching out continuously. Bam! Bam! Wang Chun could not block at all, and was severely injured. In the end, Lu Ming's fist landed on his dantian, and his spirit embryo was shattered by Lu Ming, turning him into a cripple. Ah! Wang Chun screamed hysterically. His voice was filled with despair and resentment. Lu Ming, you will die a horrible death. You dared to offend the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and Her Majesty Empress Wu. After the Battle of Providence ends, you will definitely die in Her Majesty Empress Wu's hands. Wang Chun let out a resentful cry. With his cultivation crippled, he knew that he was finished. Even if Lu Ming did not kill him, he would still die in this world. Wang Haoxian, since he wants to kill you, I'll leave him for you to kill. Lu Ming looked at Wang Haoxian. Wang Haoxian stepped through the air and condensed a flaming sword in his hand. He looked at Wang Chun with murderous intent. Wang Haoxian, you bitch! You betrayed the Wang clan and the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. You will die sooner or later. Wang Chun shouted. Whoosh! The sword light flashed, and Wang Chun's head flew far away. "Ah no, spare my life, spare my life. I don't want to die." The other geniuses of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace started to beg for mercy. However, when Yuezhang and the others showed no mercy, the array formation appeared, and before long, everyone from the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace was killed. Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline to devour the essence blood energy of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace disciples, turning them all into dried corpses. When Yuezhang and the others looked at Lu Ming's bloodline in amazement, this was the first time they had seen such a domineering bloodline. "Lu Ming, thank you very much this time." When Yuezhang stepped forward and cupped his fists. At the side, Gong Fei and the Ming clan bowed in unison. Their eyes were filled with amazement and even shock. Lu Ming's battle prowess was too strong and had completely surpassed them. Now, in terms of battle prowess, Lu Ming could already be ranked in the top few among the 14 Zongzi candidates of the Talisman Puppet sect. There were not many who could surpass Lu Ming. The key was that Lu Ming's progress was too fast. If this continued, it would not be long before he surpassed most people and stood shoulder to shoulder with Huan Zhen. "You are too polite. We are all from the same sect, and it is only right that we help each other. Moreover, before the War of Providence, the elders also told us to be united," Lu Ming said with a smile. When Yuezhang and the others had a better impression of Lu Ming. Although he was strong, he did not have a trace of arrogance or overbearingness. He gave off a refreshing feeling. They knew that Lu Ming was someone they could befriend. "Brother Wen, Brother Gong, there are many senior and junior brothers of the Talisman Puppet sect not far from here. Let's meet there," Lu Ming said. "Okay." When Yuezhang and the others nodded and flew with Lu Ming to the gathering place of the Talisman Puppet sect disciples. On the way, Lu Ming also found out why when Yuezhang and the others were besieged. It was obvious that the Talisman Puppet sect had been targeted in the War of Providence. Not only the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, but even the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Sky Demon Valley would either kill or capture disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect when they saw them. During this period of time, many disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect had died. When Yuezhang and the others had accidentally bumped into Wang Chun, Nangongbo, and the others. Without saying a word, Wang Chun and the others attacked Wen Yuezhang and the others. If it wasn't for Wen Yuezhang and the others desperately setting up a defensive formation in the valley, and Nangongbo and Wang Chun wanted to play slowly, they would have been in danger before Lu Ming arrived. This made Lu Ming and Ji Mai grit their teeth. Did the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and the other 2 forces really think that the Talisman Puppet sect was easy to bully? The 5 of them chatted as they flew. Suddenly, their eyes flickered and they came to a stop. The Book of Providence appeared in front of the 5 of them. Lu Ming looked at the Book of Providence and saw a line of words on it. 9 great forbidden lands, 1 totem pillar appears. Only by gathering all 10 totem pillars can the ancient city of Providence be opened. Totem pillars. Could it be that the final treasure to open the ancient city of Providence in this War of Providence is this so-called totem pillar? Ji Mai's bewildered voice sounded. The 5 of them put away the Book of Providence and exchanged a glance. It was obvious that the 5 of them had received the same news. That should be the case. The totem pillars are the key to opening the ancient city of Providence. I didn't expect them to be in the 9 great forbidden lands. Moreover, one of them has already appeared. I wonder who has it. When Yuezhang said, Lu Ming also knew about the 9 great forbidden lands. He had learned from the 3-eyed divine tribe that there were 9 most dangerous places in this world. These places were called forbidden lands by the 3-eyed divine tribe. The 9 great forbidden lands were many times more dangerous than other ruins. This world was very strange. Some of these ruins weren't very dangerous to Lu Ming and the others, but they were fatal to the 3-eyed divine tribe. Once a 3-eyed divine tribe member stepped into these ruins, they would be killed instantly. These ruins seemed to be specially designed to test Lu Ming and the others who were participating in the War of Providence. This made Lu Ming feel that there was an inexplicable hand behind his back, controlling everything. The 9 great forbidden lands were even more dangerous to the 3-eyed divine tribe. They would definitely die if they entered. Lu Ming had learned about it before. But he didn't want to go because he guessed that the 9 great forbidden lands should be the most important test places. There would definitely be amazing treasures inside, but it was often accompanied by danger. Before he had the strength, he would be courting death if he went there. But now, it seemed that he had no choice but to go. Chapter 939. The Battle of Providence was generally divided into 2 stages. The first stage took about a year, and was mainly a testing process. In this process, one could explore some ruins and treasure lands to obtain opportunities and luck points. One could also obtain luck points through killing. In this process, one could also continuously improve one's strength. The second stage was to open the ancient city of Providence and start the final battle. However, there were some conditions to open the ancient city of Providence. For example, one had to gather some specific treasures before the ancient city of Providence would appear. Only when the ancient city of Providence appeared would the luck points obtained in the Battle of Providence be of great use. Only then could they be truly transformed into Providence and benefit their respective sects, families, and friends. If one could not open the ancient city of Providence, the Battle of Providence would end when the time was up. Then, the luck points obtained in the process would be useless, which meant that this Battle of Providence would be considered a failure. Apart from some opportunities obtained during this period, there was no other use. Therefore, the key was to open the ancient city of Providence. Obviously, this time, the ancient city of Providence was opened by the totem pillars. In the 9 great forbidden lands, only those who entered the 9 great forbidden lands could obtain the totem pillars. Now, someone had already obtained a totem pillar. Needless to say, obtaining a totem pillar would definitely give one a huge amount of luck points. The few of them looked at each other and Lu Ming said, "The closest forbidden land to us is the Sky Poison Island, one of the 9 great forbidden lands. Let's go to the rendezvous point first, and then discuss the next step," Lu Ming suggested. Everyone nodded and continued flying. Not long after, they returned to the gathering place of the Talisman Puppet Sect. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect were naturally overjoyed when they saw Wen Yuezhang and the others. Then, Lu Ming gathered the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect to discuss the 9 great forbidden lands. Obviously, everyone had received the same message in their books of providence. Many people shook their heads and chose to withdraw. "I'm not going either. The 9 great forbidden lands definitely contain great opportunities, but it's also extremely dangerous. Similarly, all the geniuses will definitely gather in the 9 great forbidden lands. It's the place where the strongest geniuses will compete. Even if I go, I won't be able to obtain any opportunities." Jimai shook his head and sighed. Although his strength was not bad, he was still far from the top geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents. Then Meng Jia shook his head, indicating that he would not go. In the end, only Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei decided to go. On the other hand, the other Talisman Puppet Sect disciples intended to gather together and find a good place to set up a grand formation and make it their base camp. After that, they would explore the nearby area and obtain fortuitous encounters. Lu Ming nodded. This was the best choice. If one did not have enough strength, going to the 9 great forbidden lands would only be courting death. After the discussion, Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei bade farewell to everyone and flew towards one of the 9 great forbidden lands, the Heavenly Poison Island. "Little Gold, speed up." Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei sat cross-legged on the back of a ferocious golden tiger. Lu Ming urged them. "Roar." The golden tiger let out an unwilling roar. The golden tiger was none other than King Kong. At this moment, he had transformed into a length of more than 20 meters. He stepped on the air and ran at an extremely fast speed. However, he was roaring furiously in his heart. It was fine that Lu Ming treated him as a mount, but he actually allowed others to sit on him. It was fine that he allowed others to ride him, but why did he call him Xiaojin? Little Gold was a peerless genius of the demonic beast race, with 50% of the bloodline of a divine beast. How could Lu Ming call him Little Gold? King Kong almost vomited blood in anger. His name was so mighty, but he was called Little Gold? When Lu Ming first called him Little Gold, King Kong swore that he would rather die than obey. However, when Lu Ming said, "You want to taste the soul-splitting array again, right?" King Kong could only accept his fate. His heart was filled with resentment towards Lu Ming. "What are you shouting for? Are you trying to scare me? Hurry up." Lu Ming slapped King Kong's head, causing him to grimace in pain. He ran away as he cursed Lu Ming a few thousand times in his heart. When Yuezhang and Gong Fei were covered in cold sweat, they were really impressed by Lu Ming. He could actually subdue a demonic beast prodigy as a mount and make him obedient. He was really amazing. The three of them closed their eyes and rested on King Kong's back. King Kong ran at an extremely fast speed. Soon they had crossed over 1,000,000 miles. This place was not far from the Sky Poison Island. Lu Ming asked King Kong to transform into his human form, while Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei changed their appearances. They changed their clothes and concealed their auras before flying toward the Sky Poison Island. The Talisman Puppet sect was being targeted, and Lu Ming was the target of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Sky Demon Valley. It would be troublesome if they appeared in their true appearances, so they might as well disguise themselves. After changing their appearances, the four of them flew forward. In front of them, it became more and more desolate. There were mountains everywhere, but there was a dead silence on the mountains. After tens of thousands of miles, there was a huge sunken area between the mountains. It was a huge lake, and it was difficult to see the end of it. Green mist covered the lake, blocking one's vision. One could only vaguely see that there was a huge object in the center of the lake. That was the Sky Poison Island. There were many figures standing on the shore of the lake. They looked into the distance, but no one flew toward the lake. When they saw Lu Ming and the others, they only glanced at them coldly before turning their heads away. Swoosh, swoosh. A few figures flew over from afar and landed on the shore of the lake. These people had dense demonic chi. They were the prodigies of the heavenly demon tribe. "This is the Sky Poison Island." The prodigies of the heavenly demon tribe were excited. "Why don't you go in?" A demonic beast youth in colorful clothes looked at the others and asked, "Can't you see? The lake is filled with poisonous gas. How can we cross it?" A human youth said, "Judging from his clothes, he should be a prodigy of the Heavenly Corpse sect. He just some poisonous gas and you stopped. What a bunch of trash. You want to fight for the totem pole? Go home." The youth in colorful clothes sneered and stepped into the air. He turned into a colorful python and flew toward the lake. The prodigy of the Heavenly Corpse sect sneered. The colorful python was very fast. In a few breaths' time, it had rushed into the lake and into the green mist. However, as soon as he charged into the green mist, he let out a miserable shriek. His multicolored body began to emit sizzling sounds as it began to rot. The colorful python desperately tried to fly back, but after a few miles, it fell into the lake. Its body rotted, and soon, only a skeleton was left. What a terrifying poisonous gas. Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei looked solemn. The colorful python had reached the 7th level, which was equivalent to the 1st level of spirit embryo realm. However, it was poisoned to death without any resistance. How can this be? The other prodigies of the heavenly demon tribe, who came with the colorful python, were shocked. What a bunch of idiots. Didn't you do any research before coming here? The poisonous gas in the lake is extremely poisonous. It's impossible to cross it. However, the poisonous gas dissipates for 7 days every 3 months. That's the best time to enter the Sky Poison Island. There's still half a month before the poisonous gas dissipates. Just wait. Chapter 940. Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and the others' expressions changed slightly. They had not known about this beforehand. If they had not been cautious, they would have been in danger if they had rushed in rashly. It was no wonder that these people were standing by the lake and did not go over. Lu Ming and the others observed for a while and then left. Since there was still half a month before the poisonous fog dissipated, they found a place nearby to cultivate and wait. Dozens of miles away, on a small mountain, the four of them sat cross-legged and waited for time to pass. Time flew by day. There were more and more people in this area, but most of them just took a look and waited nearby. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Lu Ming and the others returned to the shore. From the surrounding barren mountains, one figure after another flew towards this direction. Soon there were hundreds of people gathered here. Those who dared to come here to compete for opportunities were not weak. Of course, there were also those who wanted to rely on luck to try their luck. Boom! In the sky, an extremely powerful pressure came down and weighed down on everyone's hearts. Damn it, who is it? A burly young man shouted and looked up. But the next moment, his expression changed drastically, and cold sweat ran down his face. In the sky, a young man in a black robe stood with his hands behind his back. Demon chi filled the sky. His face was as sharp as a knife, and his expression was grave and stern. His eyes flashed with a bright light, like two demonic blades emitting light. Luo Tian, Demon Lord Luo Tian. Someone exclaimed. Luo Tian, ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Many people's expressions changed and their hearts sank. They did not expect Luo Tian to come. Is this Luo Tian? Lu Ming's eyes moved. Luo Tian's younger brother, little demon lord Luoli, was killed by him. It seems that Luo Tian already knows that I killed his brother. Lu Ming looked at a person not far from Luo Tian. It was Brotherly Tian. It seemed that Brotherly Tian did not die at the hands of the three-eyed divine tribe. Since Brotherly Tian was with Luo Tian should already know that he had killed Luoli. But now that he had disguised himself and restrained his aura, he was not afraid. Luo Tian, I didn't know it was you. I take back what I said. The burly young man's face was extremely ugly. His eyes were filled with fear as he stuttered. People have to be responsible for their words. Luo Tian's eyes were cold, but his voice was calm. After he finished speaking, he waved his hand. A pitch-black saber light tore through the void and slashed towards the burly youth. Go! Without hesitation, the burly young man turned around and fled frantically. However, Luo Tian frowned slightly and waved his hand again. The power of the blade light suddenly increased dramatically. It instantly cut through the void and slashed at the burly young man's head. No! The burly young man roared. Puff! The saber light flashed, and the sturdy youth was split into two halves. The surrounding geniuses were as silent as cicadas in winter, not daring to make a sound. Demon Lord Luo Tian was famous in the eastern wilderness. Who didn't know of his ruthless methods? Now that he had seen it today, it was indeed so. The burly young man had only unintentionally uttered a word of curse, and it had brought about a fatal disaster. It could be seen how overbearing he was. Moreover, that burly young man was a genius from the Emperor Sky Divine Palace. Even if he was from the same sect, he was still killed by Luo Tian because of a single word. Haha, Luo Tian, you're really impressive. You can only show off here. At this moment a mocking voice rang out. Everyone was shocked. Who is it? How dare he speak the truth to Luo Tian like this? Did he want to die? In the sky, a golden light flashed and a figure appeared in the air. It was a golden-haired young man. His face was as clear as jade, and he was dressed in a golden feather robe. His body emitted a golden light, and within the light, a golden divine bird could be vaguely seen flying and chirping. A golden wan. Lu Ming was shocked. He recognized the golden divine bird within the light. It was a genius from the demon clan. Jin Qi. Luo Tian slowly uttered a name. There was a hint of seriousness in his eyes. The others were also shocked. Although the demon clan of the Sky Demon Valley was not on the list of top 1,000 talents, some extremely powerful geniuses were still eye-catching. Jin Qi had the bloodline of the divine bird, the golden wan. It was said that the bloodline density was extremely high, at least 60%. Among the many geniuses of the Sky Demon Valley, he was ranked in the top 5. He was even more famous than Luo Tian. No wonder he dared to look down on Luo Tian. Luo Tian, with me here, you can forget about the totem pole of the Sky Poison Island. Jin Qi sneered at Luo Tian. Not necessarily. It depends on one's ability, but it also depends on luck and opportunity. Luo Tian said. Haha, luck. Opportunity? I have the strength to crush everything. Why would I need luck and opportunity? Only the weak talk like that. Jin Qi laughed. Luo Tian's face was ugly. If anyone else dared to talk to him like that, he would have killed them. However, he was not confident in dealing with Jin Qi. He felt a strong sense of danger from Jin Qi. The poisonous fog is starting to disperse. At this moment, someone exclaimed softly. Everyone looked forward. There seemed to be a gust of wind on the surface of the lake. The dense green poisonous fog was rapidly dissipating, and the scene in the lake became clear. There was a huge island in the center of the lake. It was about 10,000 miles away from the shore. That was the Sky Poison Island. Whoosh! Jin Qi was the first to move. He turned into a golden ray of light and flew toward the Sky Poison Island. Soon after, Luo Tian and a few other geniuses also moved. They all fought to be the first to fly toward the Sky Poison Island. Lu Ming's group of 4 blended into the crowd and flew over as well. The journey of 10,000 miles was only a few minutes for them. Many people stopped as they approached the island. Because the island was covered in a dense forest, it was completely different from the outside world. In the sky above the forest, there was a thick green fog rolling like green clouds. However, there was only a faint green fog in the forest below. Compared to the sky, it was countless times thinner. I think Jin Qi has already rushed in. Although there is poisonous fog in the forest, it is far from being comparable to the poisonous fog on the surface of the lake. It is also incomparable to the fog in the sky. It should be able to resist. That's right. As long as we don't fly into the sky, it should be fine. Let's go. One figure after another rushed into the island and disappeared. Let's go. Lu Ming's group of 4 gathered together and descended into the forest. Chi. After descending into the forest, a sizzling sound could be heard. That was the green fog corroding their protective Zhen Yuan. However, it wasn't very strong, and they easily blocked it. The 4 followed the forest and rushed toward the depths of the island. Not long after, they heard a mournful scream. Danger! The 4 looked at each other and lowered their speed. They focused and headed toward the direction of the scream. Not long after, they found a youth lying on the ground, no longer breathing. Chapter 941. Poisonous Insects. Clearly, this island was not only filled with deadly poisonous gas, but also poisonous insects. Swoosh! The fist-sized poisonous scorpion noticed them and turned into a streak of black light that shot toward King Kong. You're courting death. King Kong shouted as a large saber appeared in his hand. He slashed at the scorpion accurately. Clang! The sound of metal clashing was heard as the poisonous scorpion flew far away and crashed into the ground, creating a large crater. However, the next moment, the scorpion shook its body and crawled out of the ground. Nest, what a tough body. I can't believe it didn't get cut in half by my saber. King Kong was slightly surprised. Although that strike of his just now was a casual strike, the weapon he used was a level 7 spirit weapon. With that strike, the poisonous scorpion actually didn't die. No wonder it could kill a young prodigy. Swoosh! The black poisonous scorpion pounced at King Kong again. Do you think I'm easy to bully? King Kong grinned, put away his saber, and swung his claw. Swoosh! The sharp claw light tore through the air and scratched the poisonous scorpion. The poisonous scorpion could not withstand King Kong's sharp claws and was torn into pieces. Then, they became more careful and moved deeper into the island at a much slower speed. That's poison heartwood. After 100 miles, when Yuezhang suddenly stopped, he found a fragrant tree that was as thick as an arm. I didn't expect there to be such a treasure here. Gong Fei's eyes lit up. That was a top-grade level 7 spiritual wood. It had a powerful detoxifying effect when used to refine pills. It could produce detoxifying pills in a highly poisonous place. There must be a lot of treasures here. Gong Fei said. Let's collect them first. When we get out of Sky Poison Island, we'll split them equally. No one objected to Wen Yuezhang's suggestion. Then, when Yuezhang dug out the poison heartwood and put it away, they continued to move forward. From time to time, they found spiritual herbs. They were at least level 6, and some were even level 7. The most shocking thing was that they found 2 level 8 spiritual herbs. Not only were there spiritual herbs, but there were also a few precious ores. There's a corpse. Along the way, they found a corpse. However, it was already in tatters. Clearly, it had been bitten by poisonous insects. This place was filled with opportunities, but it was also filled with danger. More than 100 people had entered, and it was unknown how many of them would die here. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the forest. "Look, there's something in the ground," Gong Fei suddenly exclaimed. On the ground in front of them, a large piece of land protruded, and that protrusion was moving towards them at an extremely fast speed. When Yuezhang stomped on the ground, and a formation appeared. A battle sword condensed and slashed at the protrusion. Bang! The protruding part was cut off, but in the next moment, everyone's expression changed greatly. Countless black poisonous scorpions charged out from the ground toward the four of them. There were so many of them that it was hard to tell how many there were. This venomous scorpion was identical to the one he had seen before. Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei started inscribing inscriptions at the same time. A formation appeared on the ground, and a barrier of light appeared before the four of them. Bang! 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 Countless poisonous scorpions slammed into the light screen, causing it to vibrate violently. Puff! Puff! Following that, the light screens shattered one after another, and Lu Ming and the others' expressions changed drastically. These light screens were condensed from elementary level 7 formations, but they were easily broken. "Let's go, there are too many poisonous scorpions. We can't kill them all," Lu Ming shouted, and the four of them turned around and ran at top speed. Behind them, the poisonous scorpions chased. However, every time Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei took a step, a large formation would appear on the ground, forming a light screen to block the poisonous scorpions. Thus, the speed of the scorpions was greatly reduced, and the four of them soon shook off the scorpions. Whoosh! At this moment, a scarlet thing pierced through the air, emitting a disgusting smell, and pierced towards Lu Ming's forehead. Lu Ming's expression changed, and 4 types of intent surrounded him as he struck out with his palm. Bang! Suddenly, he felt an enormous force surge towards him, and his body involuntarily took 2 steps back. The scarlet thing was also sent flying. A fish. Lu Ming could not help but be shocked when he saw what had ambushed him. It was a large colorful fish that was more than 10 meters long. Its body was covered in scales, but it actually had a pair of wings. It was flying in the air, and a scarlet tongue was extending and retracting from its mouth. It was the big fish that had ambushed Lu Ming just now. "What kind of monster is that?" Wen Yuezhang also said in a low voice. "Gaga!" The big fish let out a strange cry, flapped its wings, and pounced towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed out. He circulated the hell-suppressing heaven skill, and slashed at the strange fish with his palm. The strange fish's scarlet tongue curled like a soft whip towards Lu Ming. Bang! The palm struck the strange fish's tongue, and the tongue exploded. Lu Ming's body did not stop as he continued to rush towards the strange fish. The strange fish let out a strange cry and spat out a thick green poisonous gas from its mouth. Lu Ming burst forth with the power of devouring and covered his body, instantly swallowing the poisonous gas. He rushed over and struck the strange fish's head with his palm. With a bang, the strange fish exploded. The strength of the strange fish was not weaker than the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm, and with the addition of the poisonous gas, it was even more terrifying. However, it was easily killed by Lu Ming. However, this also showed how dangerous it was. After all, there were not many people who had the battle prowess of Lu Ming. Many of the prodigies who had encountered the strange fish had only one path: death. "There seems to be something over there." King Kong's nose twitched a few times as if he had smelled something. He looked to the right. That was the direction where the strange fish had appeared. "Let's go take a look." The 4 of them went to the right, and not long after, a few more strange fish appeared and rushed towards them. These strange fish seemed to be guarding something. There should be treasures. The 4 of them thought of something and attacked with all their might. The few strange fish were easily killed, and they continued forward. Along the way, they killed over 10 strange fish. They saw a cliff, and on the cliff, there was a small puddle. "That's the water of life," Wen Yuezhang cried out in surprise. Lu Ming, King Kong, and Gong Fei's eyes suddenly widened. In the small puddle, there was a milky white liquid that was emitting an astonishing amount of life essence. The water of life, it's the water of life, Lu Ming said excitedly. He had once bid for a small bottle of the water of life in an auction in the Hong domain. However, it had been diluted and its concentration was very low, so it could not be considered the true water of life. However, Lu Ming would never forget the aura it gave off. In the small puddle in front of him was the true water of life. The water of life was a supreme treasure that was extremely rare in the world. Chapter 942. Such rare treasures were all measured in drops. For example, the bottle of life elixir that Lu Ming had bid for previously was probably diluted with a drop of life elixir. But there was a small puddle in front of him that weighed at least a few kilograms. Opportunity, a great opportunity. King Kong grinned. Lu Ming and the others also smiled. Let's split it equally, Wen Yuezhang said. Okay. Lu Ming and the others agreed. Wen Yuezhang immediately took out a jade bottle and prepared to collect the life elixir. Ha ha ha, what a great opportunity. There's actually life elixir here. At this moment, an excited laughter sounded. With a flash of golden light, a young man appeared at the scene. Jin Qi. They were shocked. The person who came was the demon race prodigy of the Sky Monster Valley. Jin Qi glanced at the life elixir and scolded. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't kill you. You can scram. Jin Qi, we found this life elixir first. You want to take it all for yourself? Your appetite is too big, Wen Yuezhang said with an ugly expression. Appetite? My appetite is that big, so what? Do you want to fight with me? Jin Qi's body emitted a golden light, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. With a contemptuous smile, he swept his gaze over Lu Ming and the others. King Kong, you're a demon race prodigy after all. How embarrassing for you to mix with humans. You don't have to go back to the Sky Monster Valley, otherwise, I don't mind killing you. A cold voice came from Jin Qi's mouth. King Kong's expression was ugly, but he didn't dare to refute. There was a faint flash of fear in his eyes. Obviously, King Kong was extremely afraid of Jin Qi Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei's spirit fire jumped between their eyebrows. Lu Ming's true essence burst out as he confronted Jin Qi. You're overestimating yourself. You're courting death. Jin Qi's gaze turned cold. The golden light on his body became denser, and a terrifying aura burst out. That aura was incomparably vast, and the pressure was like a mountain pressing down on everyone. Lu Ming and the others felt an extremely dangerous feeling in their hearts. They felt that their lives would be in danger if they fought with Jin Qi. Lu Ming, let's go. At this moment, King Kong growled. Leave. Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei's faces were filled with unwillingness. Let's go. Jin Qi is an extremely powerful person. I've fought with him before. Even if the four of us join forces, we still won't be his opponent. The difference is too great. We can only be killed. King Kong growled and transmitted his voice to Lu Ming and the other two. Go. At this time Lu Ming spoke. Jin Gang was right. Jin Qi gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. Lu Ming felt that if they really fought, even with the mountain and river diagram, he wouldn't be able to defend against Jin Qi's attacks. Perhaps they would all be killed here. Although the water of life was precious, there was no need to risk one's life to obtain it. Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei also gritted their teeth. The four of them quickly retreated and left the place. Jin Qi smiled faintly. It wasn't that he was kind and didn't want to kill them, but he felt that Lu Ming and the other three weren't simple. If they really fought, even if he could kill Lu Ming and the other three, it would take him a lot of effort. This island was full of poisonous insects and fog. It would save him a lot of effort to find the totem pole, which was why he didn't attack. Otherwise, he would have killed Lu Ming and the others directly. What a pity. After leaving, Wen Yuezhang sighed. Lu Ming didn't say anything, but his gaze became more determined. In this world, strength spoke louder than words. Without strength, it was useless to say anything. The four of them continued to explore, but they didn't change their direction and kept going deeper into the island. This was because the totem pole was most likely in the depths of the island. However, the deeper they went into the island, the thicker the poisonous fog became, and the more powerful it became. Inscriptions appeared on Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei's bodies, and a light shield blocked the poisonous fog around them. King Kong's demonic power spread and covered his entire body. Sizzle. When the poisonous fog came into contact with the inscriptions and the demonic power, it constantly sizzled and corroded the light shield and demonic power. Only Lu Ming was the most relaxed. His entire body was covered with a layer of devouring power, and all the poisonous fog was devoured. Lu Ming's movements were not affected at all. This made Wen Yuezhang and the others click their tongues in wonder. In their eyes, Lu Ming was becoming more and more unfathomable. Not long after, they saw a young man with a green face running back in a panic. It was obvious that he was deeply poisoned. Their faces were solemn as they moved forward for another few thousand miles. At this point, the poisonous fog was even more terrifying. The light shield formed by Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei shook and trembled on Drama Island, and so did King Kong's demonic power. It was constantly fighting against the poisonous fog, and it was very draining. Lu Ming, it seems like we can only go this far. We can't go any further. Wen Yuezhang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Me too, Gong Fei said. King Kong also looked at Lu Ming with eager eyes. If this continued, they would be in danger. Okay, then you guys look for opportunities in the periphery. I'll go deeper and take a look. Lu Ming nodded, then bid farewell to Wen Yuezhang and the others and moved forward alone. Not long after, Lu Ming walked for another few thousand miles. At this point, the poisonous fog had reached an astonishing level. Not even the poisonous insects could be seen, let alone humans. Thud thud, Lu Ming moved forward carefully. He did not know what dangers he would encounter here, so he was on full alert and did not dare to move too fast. There's someone in front. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He saw a figure in front of him, who was also moving forward slowly. Obviously, he was much slower than Lu Ming. Luo Tian. When he got closer, he realized that the young man in front was Luo Tian. Demonic qi surrounded Luo Tian, forming a thick demonic qi armor that covered his body and blocked the poisonous fog around him. However, the poisonous fog was so powerful that it constantly corroded the demonic qi armor. It was obvious that Luo Tian was having a hard time moving forward. Hearing the commotion, Luo Tian turned his head, and his eyes were filled with shock. Obviously, he did not expect that other than Jin Qi and him, there would be someone else who could reach this place. However, when he saw the devouring power on Lu Ming's body, his eyes lit up. Lu Ming ignored Luo Tian and walked forward, but Luo Tian clearly had no intention of letting him go. Bam! Luo Tian took a step forward and appeared in front of Lu Ming, blocking his path. Sir, what is the meaning of this? Lu Ming's face darkened. You should have a treasure that can block the poisonous fog, right? Give it to me. Luo Tian said in a commanding tone. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It turned out that Luo Tian treated the devouring power of the 9 dragons' bloodline as some kind of treasure. Sir, I don't have a treasure that can block the poisonous fog, Lu Ming said. You don't have it? You want to lie to me? Do you think I'm a fool? If you don't have a treasure that can block the poisonous fog, how could you have reached this place? Hand it over quickly, or I'll take it myself. It's the same. Chapter 943. Your Excellency, that's too much, Lu Ming said. Even if he had a treasure that could block the poisonous gas, he would still be poisoned to death if he gave it to Luo Tian. Luo Tian did not care about his life at all. Haha, too much. You trash. It's your honor to be able to help me. If you don't hand it over, I'll kill you immediately. Demonic qi flickered in Luo Tian's eyes, and his killing intent became even colder. Haha, Luo Tian, who do you think you are? Lu Ming suddenly sneered, then took a step forward and dashed to the side. You're courting death. Luo Tian was stunned for a moment. Then he roared and slashed at Lu Ming with his palm like a knife. The terrifying saber radiance almost split the poisonous gas. The surrounding poisonous gas rolled as the saber radiance approached Lu Ming. Roar! With a dragon roar, Lu Ming unleashed all his dragon power. At the same time, the mountain river diagram rushed out and surrounded him. Boom! Lu Ming punched out and collided with the saber radiance. There was a terrible roar, and the poisonous gas nearby was dispersed. Lu Ming felt waves of terrifying saber radiance rushing toward him. Most of them were blocked by the mountain river diagram, but some of them entered the diagram. Puff, puff. Several wounds appeared on Lu Ming's body and blood flowed out. Lu Ming took advantage of this force and retreated 1,000 meters before dashing to the side. What an overbearing saber technique! What a strong combat strength! Lu Ming spat blood from the corner of his mouth. The scales on his fist were broken, revealing a deep saber wound. Luo Tian's strength was far above his. No wonder he was ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. So you're quite strong. Luo Tian frowned, and his killing intent became even colder. Although he did not use all his strength, there were not many people who could block his saber. Bam! He took a step forward, and his body was like a saber gleam. He chased after Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. Boy, you have a lot of treasures. You'd better hand them all over, or I'll make you die a horrible death. Luo Tian's voice was cold. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He broke into a run. Kill! Luo Tian shouted. A black demonic saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed with all his strength. 1,000-meter-long saber radiance was formed, cutting through the poisonous gas and the void, slashing toward Lu Ming. This saber radiance was several times stronger than the previous saber radiance. Lu Ming did not take it head-on. His figure flashed to the side at high speed. However, the saber gleam actually moved along with him and slashed down at high speed. In the end, Lu Ming managed to dodge it. However, he was still hit by the sharpness of the saber aura. The mountain river diagram shook violently. Lu Ming's body shook violently, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Due to his injuries, it was difficult for him to maintain his disguise and return to his original appearance. Lu Ming! Seeing Lu Ming's true appearance, Luo Tian let out a furious roar, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. Lu Ming, so it's you. How dare you kill my brother, Luo Li? Die, die. I want you to die without a burial ground. Devil Chi rushed into the sky from Luo Tian's body, and his speed increased to a terrifying level. He was like a demonic saber, cutting through the air. His speed was even slightly faster than Lu Ming's. So strong. Looking at Luo Tian's cultivation, he's only at the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, but his battle prowess is too terrifying. Even prodigies like Wang Chun and Nangong Bo would be easily killed by him, even if they were at the same level as him. Lu Ming's thoughts turned rapidly. Luo Tian's strength was extremely terrifying. It couldn't be measured by normal martial arts practitioners, or even normal prodigies. Other than a few people, Luo Tian was basically invincible among those at the same level. What's more, his cultivation was 3 levels higher than Lu Ming's. Lu Ming changed his direction and rushed towards the depths of Sky Poison Island. The poisonous gas there was thicker, which was advantageous for Lu Ming. Damn it! Luo Tian roared in anger and chased after him with gritted teeth. In a blink of an eye, he was 100 miles deep. Wung wung! Suddenly, a buzzing sound came from the front. It was a swarm of poisonous bees. There were basically no living creatures here, but there were still so many poisonous bees. These poisonous bees were definitely terrifying. Luo Tian, I'll let you have a taste of these poisonous bees. Lu Ming didn't stop and rushed towards the poisonous bees. At the same time, he threw out a punch, and a blazing fist aura rushed into the swarm of poisonous bees. This time, it was like poking a hornet's nest. The swarm of poisonous bees exploded, and they seemed to be very angry as they rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the mountain and river diagram to block. Bang bang bang. These poisonous bees continuously crashed into the mountain and river diagram, causing it to tremble violently. After that, Lu Ming turned and sprinted towards Luo Tian. Damn it, lunatic! Luo Tian roared and slashed out a shocking blade aura. Lu Ming did his best to dodge. Although he didn't manage to completely dodge, and was shaken to the point of vomiting blood, the blade aura still chopped down a swarm of poisonous bees. The other poisonous bees flew towards Luo Tian in anger. At the head of each wasp, there was a long tube that spewed out multicolored poisonous gas that spread towards Luo Tian. Crackle crackle! Luo Tian's demonic armor emitted sounds of corrosion. He was so frightened that his face turned pale as he ran towards the back. Lu Ming, Don't let me see you again. I'll definitely kill you. Luo Tian's voice sounded, but he had already disappeared. Lu Ming ran forward with large strides. There was a swarm of poisonous bees chasing after him. Fortunately, he could devour the poisonous gas, and the poisonous gas was ineffective against him. The mountain and river diagram could also defend against the attacks of the poisonous bees. Not long after, Lu Ming shook off the poisonous bees and continued forward. After 1,000 miles, a huge mountain appeared in front of Lu Ming's eyes. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, a violent explosion came from the bottom of the mountain. There seemed to be living beings fighting. Who is it? Could it be a prodigy of the human race? Is there anyone else who can reach this place? Lu Ming's face changed. According to his guess, Luo Tian shouldn't be able to reach this place. He immediately retracted his aura and carefully approached. After entering, he discovered that there was a cave at the bottom of the mountain. The explosion came from within the cave. Lu Ming found a hidden place to hide and looked forward. Not long after, the explosion in the cave disappeared. A golden light flashed, and a figure charged out of the cave. Jin Qi. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. That figure was actually Jin Qi. There was a golden bead above Jin Qi's head. It scattered rays of sword light, and helped Jin Qi block the poisonous gas outside. However, it obviously couldn't block it completely. Jin Qi's face was green, and he was clearly poisoned. Damned beast! Jin Qi roared and glared at the cave. He then found a place and took out a pile of origin stones and began to absorb the poison. He didn't discover Lu Ming. It was obvious that he had fought with something in the cave and had used up a lot of his true essence. He came out to absorb the origin stones to recover his true essence. Half an hour later, Jin Qi stood up and charged into the cave. The sounds of battle came from within the cave again. Not long after, Jin Qi roared and charged out of the cave. This time, he was in an even more sorry state. His hair was disheveled, and his golden feather clothes were torn apart. The golden bead above his head had also shattered, and the scattered golden light was greatly weakened. The green aura on Jin Qi's face was even thicker. It was obvious that the poison had deepened and his aura was much weaker than before. He unwillingly looked at the cave and didn't dare to stay. He rushed out. Chapter 944. Lu Ming wouldn't let go of such an opportunity to take his life while he was down. While rushing out, Lu Ming directly released his dragon force and approached Jin Qi in a few breaths. Who is it? Jin Qi was alarmed. He suddenly looked toward Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming's palm struck towards Jin Qi's head. Lu Ming had exerted all his strength in this palm strike, which could split a mountain. Jin Qi never expected that there would be someone else here. In a hurry, he raised his arm to block. Boom! Jin Qi's body was sent flying far away as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Looks like you're seriously injured. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Previously, seeing how Luo Tian was so afraid of Jin Qi, it could be seen that Jin Qi's strength was extremely terrifying. He was definitely not weaker than Luo Tian, and might even be stronger. But now, he was sent flying by Lu Ming's palm strike. It could be seen that Jin Qi was seriously injured in the cave. Furthermore, his body was covered in poison gas, and his strength was greatly weakened. Brat, you dared to sneak attack me? You're courting death. Jin Qi was instantly enraged as he retreated. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he looked at Lu Ming. Looking at him, Jin Qi's eyes widened as he exclaimed, Lu Ming, you're Lu Ming? Lu Ming wasn't in disguise, so Jin Qi naturally recognized him. Kill! Lu Ming was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He took large strides forward and charged towards Jin Qi. Don't think that you can kill me just because I'm injured. The one who will die today is you. I'll be able to obtain the Flood Dragon Sovereign's reward after killing you. Jin Qi's voice was cold as a powerful golden light erupted from his body as he charged towards Lu Ming. Boom! The two exchanged a blow. Lu Ming's figure swayed and stood still, but Jin Qi kept retreating. You're not my opponent now. Lu Ming didn't care about defense, as he crazily attacked Jin Qi every punch, and every palm contained the power of millions of Jins, suppressing everything as they rained down on Jin Qi. Moreover, many of the attacks were aimed at the bead above Jin Qi's head. Boom! Boom! The golden pool erupted, colliding with Lu Ming's attacks continuously. Bang! After dozens of moves, the bead on top of Jin Qi's head was shattered by Lu Ming's fist. The bead shattered, and even more poison gas rushed towards Jin Qi. Jin Qi's face turned even more green. Damn it! Jin Qi let out a sharp cry and transformed into her true form. She was a golden Yuan. Of course, she wasn't a pure-blooded golden Yuan. She had over 60% of the golden Yuan's bloodline. With the dragon's roar, Lu Ming used bloodline fusion to transform into 9 dragons and continued to attack. Jin Qi constantly coughed up blood. His golden body was covered with a thick layer of green poison gas that was becoming denser and denser. Jin Qi struggled, wanting to rush out, but was firmly entangled by Lu Ming. The longer this dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for Jin Qi. Jin Qi's eyes were already filled with panic. In the blink of an eye, dozens of moves had passed. Puchi! The 9 dragon claws clawed at Jin Qi's body and tore off a large chunk of flesh. Golden feathers fluttered in the air as Jin Qi let out a miserable shriek. Bang! 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps were used. 6 steps in a row. A violent attack poured down on Jin Qi's body, smashing him into the ground and creating a large crater. Bang! The 9 dragons descended and used their claws to grab Jin Qi's wings. Blood splattered everywhere as Jin Qi's wings were torn off. Jin Qi let out a heart-wrenching scream. He no longer had the arrogant attitude he had before. What was left was only fear and embarrassment. He was terrified. He could feel death approaching. Boom! The dragon claws clawed down once again, and a violent energy blasted into Jin Qi's body, scattering his demonic energy. No, don't kill me. Spare me. Jin Qi screamed. He didn't want to die. The 9 dragons clawed at Jin Qi's neck and looked at him with cold eyes. Weren't you high and mighty before? You were domineering and didn't even blink when you took someone else's things. Your biggest mistake was that you couldn't bear to use it. When you came out of the cave, you directly swallowed a few drops of life water. Your injuries would have healed immediately. I'm not your opponent. Unfortunately, you couldn't bear to waste the life water. Hee. Lu Ming sneered again and again. Jin Qi's eyes widened. You're one of the 4? That's right. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, spare me. I'll give you whatever you want. I still have a lot of treasures in my storage ring, including the life water. I can return them all to you as long as you let me go. Jin Qi begged loudly. Spare you? Wait until your injuries are healed before coming to kill me? Am I that stupid? What's more, after I kill you, won't your treasures be mine? Lu Ming sneered. No, don't kill me. I swear, I will never take revenge on you. Jin Qi screamed. But before he could finish his words, Lu Ming suddenly exerted his strength and waved his dragon claw, killing Jin Qi, a demon clan genius, who was comparable to the top 10 of the list of top 1,000 talents, died just like that. He died with great reluctance. Devouring power erupted, devouring all of Jin Qi's blood essence, and taking away his storage ring. Glancing at the storage ring, Lin Fan saw 2 jade bottles, and within the bottles were life water. Lu Ming was delighted. He put away the storage ring and looked at the cave. There was a creature in the cave. How was it after fighting with Jin Qi for such a long time? Lu Ming speculated that the creature in the cave wouldn't be much stronger than Jin Qi otherwise. Jin Qi wouldn't have dared to attack it again and again. It wouldn't be much stronger than Jin Qi if Jin Qi was injured. The creature couldn't be unharmed. Perhaps it was an opportunity. Could it be that the totem pole is in this cave? Otherwise, why would Jin Qi fight so hard? Lu Ming's heart burned at the thought of the totem pole. Lu Ming carefully approached the cave. The cave was very large, and there was a faint light coming from inside. Lu Ming slowly walked in and looked inside. Inside there was a huge cave. Behind the cave there was another cave. The light was coming from that cave. There was a huge colorful crab in that cave. The crab was taller than a human just by lying there. However, there were many wounds on the crab's body, and blood was still flowing out of them. It seemed that this was the crab that had fought with Jin Qi. However, this crab wasn't much better than Jin Qi. Its aura was weak, and it was obviously seriously injured. Lu Ming's fingers began to move in the air. and he began to inscribe an array. He was very fast. His fingers moved like lightning in the air, and endless inscriptions disappeared into the space. Squeak, squeak. The crab obviously felt the fluctuations and raised its head. When it saw Lu Ming, it let out a sharp sound, then got up and crawled towards Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. The array in the air glowed, condensing into arrows that shot towards the crab. The crab waved its tail and blocked all the arrows. Chapter 945. Unfortunately, Lu Ming was not afraid of the poisonous gas. He rushed over and started a battle with the giant crab. This giant crab was very powerful. It was definitely not weaker than Jin Shi. In fact, it was slightly stronger. However, most of the giant crab's power came from its poisonous gas. To others, this was a fatal threat. However, to Lu Ming, it could be ignored. Moreover, the giant crab was heavily injured, and its strength was greatly weakened. As a result, Lu Ming still had the upper hand. However, even if Lu Ming had the upper hand, it would still be very difficult for him to kill the giant crab. In the cave, explosions continued. Lu Ming did his best to fight with the giant crab. After a few hundred moves, Lu Ming finally killed the giant crab. However, Lu Ming himself had also suffered serious injuries and was severely injured. Lu Ming took out a jade bottle that contained the life water. He poured out 2 drops and swallowed them. At the same time, he took out a pile of ores and let the 9 dragons' bloodline devour them. Lu Ming's injuries recovered at an astonishing speed. In just a few minutes, his injuries were completely healed. The life water is really amazing, Lu Ming thought to himself. Soon, Lu Ming's true yuan was fully recovered. He looked at the cave that was emitting light. Was the totem pole inside? Lu Ming carefully walked over and stepped into the cave. This was a tunnel. The light came from the front. The tunnel was more than 100 meters long. After going through the tunnel, Lu Ming came to another huge cave. Lu Ming was very surprised when he came to this cave. This was because there was not a trace of poisonous gas in this cave. Instead, it was filled with rich heaven and earth spirit qi. Even the heaven and earth spirit qi was filled with heaven and earth origin qi. This qi was exactly the same as the one in the ores. It was called origin qi. This cave and the sky poison island were simply 2 different worlds. Suddenly, he was shocked to see a burly figure sitting cross-legged in a corner of the cave. That figure was clearly a 3-eyed god. However, this 3-eyed god looked very old. Its scales had fallen off, and its 2 sharp horns were dim and full of lethargy. However, there was still a faint aura of life on its body. Beside this 3-eyed god, there were many skeletons. The bones were thick and solid. At a glance, one could tell that they were the skeletons of the 3-eyed god. At this time, the 3-eyed god suddenly opened its eyes and looked at Lu Ming. 20 years have passed. You humans have come again. An old voice came out of the 3-eyed god's mouth. Lu Ming looked at this 3-eyed god with a serious expression on his face. This 3-eyed divine member seemed to be very old and seemed to be nearing the end of his life. His aura was very weak and did not pose a threat to Lu Ming. Lu Ming then felt at ease. Human youth, what's wrong? Are you still afraid of a dying man like me? The old 3-eyed divine race being said. Why are you here? Lu Ming asked. According to what he knew, the 3-eyed god race could not enter some of the ruins here. They would die if they entered. Moreover, the Sky Poison Island was one of the 9 great forbidden lands. How did the 3-eyed god race enter? Could it be that the 3-eyed god race could enter the Sky Poison Island? Haha, how did I enter? Do you think that I wanted to enter and was forced to do so? This world does not allow existences above the spiritual god realm. We are just training targets for you humans. The 3-eyed god let out a deep roar. What do you know? Lu Ming's eyes moved. He had always felt that there was a powerful existence behind all of this. The War of Providence was like a training ground for them. Who was the one controlling everything behind the scenes? Do you want to know? I can tell you. The 3-eyed god said in a deep voice. Lu Ming did not speak. He listened quietly and remained cautious. Although the 3-eyed god race's aura was weak, Lu Ming still did not dare to be careless. According to the ancient records, the 3-eyed god race is powerful and dominates the world. Outside of this world, you humans are just defeated opponents of the three-eyed god race. You are just my race's dogs. The three-eyed god race sneered. Lu Ming still did not speak. The three-eyed god race continued. In this world, a long time ago, the remnants of the human race captured a group of us three-eyed god race and placed them in this world for our race to reproduce. Then, they used them to nurture the human race's sky prides. They tried to nurture peerless sky prides to compete with us in the outside world. Hee, what a fool's dream. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Where was the outside world that the three-eyed god race was talking about? It shouldn't be the world that Lu Ming was in. Could it be the heavenly realm? The three-eyed god race appeared on that small island in the heavenly realm and said that they wanted to attack the primordial realm. Could the War of Providence be controlled by the heavenly realm? In an instant, Lu Ming thought of many things. Therefore, in this world, there can't be any experts above the spirit god realm. As long as someone in my race breaks through to the spirit god realm, they will be suppressed or even killed. I was suppressed by the laws of heaven and earth when I was breaking through to the spirit god realm. I dragged my severely injured body and escaped here. So don't worry, I'm not a threat to you. The three-eyed god race continued. That's all? Lu Ming asked. That's all I know. It's been too long. Kid, I'm just struggling at death's door and suffering every day. Since I've said so much, come and kill me and set me free. The three-eyed god race sighed. Kill you? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. That's right. I'm dragging my injured body and suffering every day. I might as well die. How about you help me with this? The three-eyed god race said. Okay. Lu Ming's eyes flickered a few times. Then he strode towards the three-eyed god race, condensed a spear in his hand, and aimed it at the three-eyed god race. At this moment, the three-eyed god race's lips curled into a sneer. In the next moment, a black shadow rushed out from the three-eyed god race's dantian and charged towards Lu Ming. I knew you would do this. Lu Ming sneered and retreated quickly. The mountain river diagram revolved around him as he threw a punch. The terrifying fist force blasted onto the shadow, causing it to let out a scream. Although it dispersed, it condensed again in the next moment and continued to charge towards Lu Ming. However, it was blocked by the mountain river diagram and was sent flying. That's a spirit god. Lu Ming's heart trembled. At this moment, he saw the appearance of the shadow clearly. It was actually a miniature three-eyed god race that looked almost the same as the three-eyed god race's elder. It was clearly a spirit god condensed by the three-eyed god race's elder. This three-eyed god race's elder had almost stepped into the spirit god realm. Unfortunately, it was suppressed. A half-formed spirit god that's about to dissipate, and you want to kill me? Then I'll fulfill your wish and finish you off completely. Lu Ming took a step forward and continuously blasted out with his fists. Rays of fist light blasted towards the three-eyed god race's spirit god. Chapter 946. Bang! Bang! Fist lights blasted out incessantly, causing the spirit deity to become even weaker. If it was an ordinary domain enlightened spirit god, then Lu Ming would absolutely not be a match for the domain enlightened spirit god. However, this old man hadn't completely broken through to the domain enlightened spirit god realm when he was suppressed, and he could only be considered to be a half-domain enlightened spirit god. Moreover, he was heavily injured and extremely weak, so he was completely suppressed by Lu Ming. After a short while, the spirit deity shook and flew back into the old man's body. The old man roared furiously. Don't even dream of obtaining the totem. I'll destroy it. As soon as he finished speaking, the old man's body suddenly moved, and he pounced towards a direction. Lu Ming swept the surroundings with his gaze, and he saw a stone pillar that was around 3 meters tall at the side of the cave. The stone pillar was inscribed with various patterns like dragons, phoenixes, tigers, and so on and so forth. That's the totem. Lu Ming was shocked in his heart. His attention was completely focused on the old man earlier, and he actually didn't notice the totem. Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming took a stride forward and arrived before the old man. A spear condensed in his hand before he pierced through the old man. Pussy-eye! The spear pierced through the old man's body and nailed him to the wall on the other side. I'm unwilling to accept this. My three-eyed god race will annihilate the human race sooner or later. The old man roared furiously and unwillingly, and then he stopped breathing. Lu Ming's expression was calm. He could understand the old man's unwillingness. He'd cultivated bitterly for his entire lifetime, and was about to break through to the domain enlightened spirit god realm. Yet he was suppressed. His lifetime of hard work had been wasted, and he could only hide in this cave and wait for his lifespan to be exhausted before he died of old age. However, they were of different races and were enemies, so Lu Ming didn't feel any pity for him. His gaze descended onto the stone pillar. Is this the totem pole? Lu Ming's purpose of coming here was to see it. Lu Ming walked over to the bottom of the totem, and then he hugged it with both hands and pulled forcefully. Yet it actually didn't move at all. It's quite heavy. Lu Ming smiled lightly, and then he exerted his full strength. The true essence within his body erupted as he pulled forcefully. Rumble! The entire cave shook as Lu Ming slowly pulled out the totem pole. Rise! Lu Ming hollered. His muscles bulged, and he exerted force on his waist. With a loud bang, the totem pole was uprooted. But at this time, the totem pole suddenly shone brightly. Over 10 jet black rays of light suddenly burst out and flew towards Lu Ming's forehead. Not good. Lu Ming was shocked. The reason for that was because with a quick glance, he saw that the dozen or so rays of light were actually a dozen or so spiritual deities. They were all miniature versions of the three-eyed divine race. At this moment, Lu Ming's mind flashed back to the skeletons beside the old three-eyed god. Could it be that those skeletons belonged to the three-eyed divine race that was suppressed after breaking through to the domain enlightened spirit god realm and perished here? After they died, the spirit deity attached itself to the totem pole. I've been tricked. Just now, the old three-eyed god pretended to destroy the totem pole. But in fact, he was reminding Lu Ming that it was the totem pole. He was reminding Lu Ming to pull it out. Once the totem pole was pulled out, the spirit deities in the totem pole would attack Lu Ming. But at this moment, everything happened so suddenly that it was too late for Lu Ming to dodge. Whoosh! Whoosh! The dozen or so spirit deities directly rushed into Lu Ming's forehead and into his sea of consciousness. Get out! Lu Ming roared and closed his eyes. His mind also appeared in his sea of consciousness, condensing a figure in his sea of consciousness. The dozen or so spirit deities appeared in his sea of consciousness and emitted various powerful auras. Kill! One of the spirit deities emitted a strong lightning aura. It seemed to have no intelligence as it directly charged towards Lu Ming. It was fast, extremely fast. What a strong concept of lightning. These spirit deities are completely condensed from energy and the concept of heaven and earth. Their original owner's consciousness has been destroyed, leaving only their instinct to kill humans. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He immediately simulated the suppressing hell-heaven skill and punched out. Boom! Lu Ming's body went numb, and he was sent flying. His body almost dissipated. Kill! At this moment, another spirit deity turned into a fiery light. An incomparably rich concept of fire pervaded the air and charged towards Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming exchanged a blow with it. His body seemed to be burning as he was sent flying. Bursts of intense pain came from his body. These spirit deities wanted to obliterate Lu Ming's mind and spirit. If Lu Ming's spirit was destroyed, it would be equivalent to Lu Ming's death. Whoosh! A golden light cut through the boundless clouds in the sea of consciousness and slashed towards Lu Ming. Concept of gold. These spirit deities' concepts were all at the 4th level and were incomparably powerful. The 4th level of the concept of heaven and earth was the highest. These people had already grasped the highest level of concept. It was unknown how many times stronger it was than a 3rd level concept. Puff! Lu Ming's body was directly cut in half by the golden light. A sharp pain that penetrated into the soul came from Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body that was cut in half rapidly retreated and reformed in the distance. However, his face was very pale. In the sea of consciousness, his body was condensed by his mind. Even if it was cut in half, it could still reform. However, that sharp pain was real. His current situation was very dangerous. In the sea of consciousness, his body could indeed reform at will. However, once he couldn't bear the pain and his spirit dissipated, His body would no longer be able to reform. It would also mean that he had died. This was a test of his will. My will is firm. How can I be destroyed by you? Lu Ming growled. His eyes were incomparably firm. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two spirit deities rushed towards Lu Ming. Kill! In my sea of consciousness, let's see who will kill who. Lu Ming roared and rushed towards the few spirit deities. After a few moves, Lu Ming was still cut in half. However, he reformed in the distance. His will was firm and unmoved. He continued to fight. He displayed all his skills in the sea of consciousness and engaged in a great battle with more than a dozen spirit deities. His will was unwavering. No matter how great the pain was, he remained unmoved and fought with all his might. In the beginning, Lu Ming was completely at a disadvantage and almost didn't have the strength to fight back. However, the more Lu Ming fought, the braver he became. He became more and more accustomed to this kind of battle in the sea of consciousness. 10 days later, Lu Ming seriously injured a spirit deity with the concept of fire with a punch and broke his arm. The broken arm actually turned into the concept of fire and entered Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's comprehension of the concept of fire had increased a little. It can be done like this. Then all of you will become my nourishment. Lu Ming's eyes emitted a bright light. His fighting spirit was high as he fought with these spirit deities. Time passed day by day. Lu Ming's body was still holding the totem pole. He stood motionless in the cave. His true dragon battle art was actually operating automatically. Like a vortex, it was absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, an origin chi from the surroundings. His cultivation base was slowly rising. Chapter 947. Time flew by quickly. 1 month, 2 months. Lu Ming had no idea how much time had passed. What he knew was that he had been fighting with dozens of spirit gods. His willpower was incomparably firm. No matter how it was scattered, he could recover. He was as firm as a boulder, invincible. As for the dozen or so spirit deities, they were defeated and scattered by Lu Ming one after another. The amazing thing was that the conception of the spirit deities would be integrated into Lu Ming's concept runes. His mastery of a certain concept rune would be greatly enhanced. The dozens of spirit gods contained all kinds of conceptions. Boom, boom. Unknowingly, there was only one spirit god left in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. This spirit god has comprehended the concept of earth. What a strong defense. Lu Ming was somewhat speechless. This spirit god used the concept of earth to protect his body like a tortoise shell, and was the hardest to deal with. Lu Ming continued to fight with this spirit god. Slowly, 3 days passed. Finally, Lu Ming broke through the spirit god's defense and defeated the spirit god. Lu Ming felt that his concept of earth had also increased by a lot. Haha, that old three-eyed god originally wanted to harm me. Who would have thought that it would help me instead? My 4 kinds of conceptions have all increased by a large amount. Lu Ming laughed. With a thought, he returned to his body. He realized that he was still hugging the totem pole and standing there. I don't know how long I have fought with those spirit gods. It feels like a long time has passed. However, the battle of destiny shouldn't have ended. Otherwise, I would have been teleported out. Lu Ming thought to himself. My cultivation. Suddenly, Lu Ming's heart trembled violently. He sensed and instantly realized that the true origin in his body was surging violently. It was unbelievably strong, and was much stronger than before. 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. This is the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Lu Ming was dumbstruck. His eyes revealed a look of disbelief. He had only destroyed dozens of spirit gods in his sea of consciousness, and his cultivation had actually increased by 3 levels. From the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, he had stepped into the early stage of the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. This was simply inconceivable. Look at my concept. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Then he was overjoyed. His 3 concepts of wind, fire, and thunder had all reached the peak of the 3rd level. He was only 1 step away from the 3rd level of perfection. The concept of earth was slightly weaker, but it had also reached the late stage of level 3 greater mastery. The improvement was too great. How long has it been? My cultivation has increased by so much? This is too shocking. Lu Ming thought to himself. At the same time, he was incomparably happy. This was an opportunity, a great opportunity. What powerful strength. With my current combat strength, I could definitely kill Luo Tian easily if I met him before. Lu Ming felt the majestic energy in his body, and his eyes were filled with anticipation. Of course, this was referring to the Luo Tian of the past. It was unknown how much time had passed, and whether Luo Tian's cultivation had improved or not. There's something down there. At this time, Lu Ming noticed something strange under the totem pole. With a thought, the totem pole was put into his storage ring. At the place where the totem pole was uprooted, there was a pit. At the bottom of the pit, he could see a piece of metal with strange patterns on it. This piece of metal seemed to be very big. Only a part of it was exposed at the pit. The rest was covered by the rocks on the ground. Lu Ming pried open the rocks and discovered that this was not a piece of metal, but a huge metal box. Lu Ming took out the metal box. What was in this metal box? Lu Ming was curious and opened the metal box. Inside the metal box, there were 2 jade statues that were about the same height as humans. Yes, jade statues as if they were carved out of huge jade. The jade statues emitted a shocking amount of life essence. Lu Ming's pupils shrank rapidly. He thought of a treasure, heaven and earth jade essence. Yes, these were not jade statues carved out of jade, but heaven and earth jade essence. Heaven and earth jade essence was said to be a kind of supreme jade. After countless years, it absorbed the essence of heaven and earth, and by chance, it gave birth to a kind of life form. If such a life form fully awakened its intelligence and matured, it would be extremely terrifying. Legend had it that a long time ago, a mature heaven and earth jade essence was born in the eastern wilderness. It was extremely terrifying and peerless. It could compete with martial emperors, and was even stronger than them. It had once stirred up a storm of blood in the eastern wilderness. In the end, it was killed by an even stronger existence. It was extremely difficult for such a heaven and earth jade essence to mature completely. Once it matured, it would be invincible. However, a heaven and earth jade essence that had not matured and had not awakened its intelligence was a rare supreme treasure. It could really be described as rare in the world. That was because a heaven and earth jade essence could be combined with some other materials to refine a perfect physical body. If a spirit god expert was nearing the end of his lifespan, he could attach his spirit god to a physical body refined from a heaven and earth jade and live another life. How precious was that? Lu Ming actually obtained 2 here. Lu Ming's heart started thumping. At this moment he thought of Supreme Nine Yang. If Supreme Nine Yang had this heaven and earth jade essence, he could completely reform his physical body and return to the world. That's great. At this moment, Lu Ming was extremely excited. He was 10 times, no 100 times more excited than when he found out that his cultivation had improved greatly. Along the way, Supreme Nine Sons had helped him too much. His achievements today were all thanks to Supreme Nine Sons. Otherwise, he would still be a cripple from the Lu family of the Blazing Sun Empire's Windfire City. He might have been killed by others long ago. There was one thing that had always been on his mind. He wanted to find a treasure for Supreme Nine Yang to reform his physical body. Now he had finally found it. Lu Ming took a deep breath and calmed his excited heart. There's another jade talisman. Lu Ming discovered a jade talisman beside the 2 heaven and earth jade essences. Lu Ming picked it up and took a look. He knew that it was a type of jade talisman that recorded a cultivation technique or something. Lu Ming scanned it with his mind and discovered that it was a secret technique. The twin life restriction. That was the name of the secret technique. What a strange name. Lu Ming began to read the contents. At one glance, Lu Ming was taken aback. He widened his eyes in shock. What a wonderful secret technique. What a strange secret technique. What a shocking secret technique. Lu Ming exclaimed. According to the records of the Forbidden Twin Lives technique, this secret technique was actually capable of turning one person into 2. Indeed, there was a huge difference between cultivating 2 people and cultivating clones in the legends. Using the heaven and earth jade essences as materials, one soul could be split into 2 and another person would be created. That person would become the second body, and the main body would become the main body. This was completely different from a clone. Normally speaking, a clone could only have a portion of the main body's combat strength, and could not cultivate. It would always be the same strength that it had when it was cultivated. However, the twin life restriction was different. The second body was basically the same as the main body, with the same strength and aura. It could even cultivate on its own, and communicate with each other. This was terrifying. It was simply heaven-defying. This meant that there were two people cultivating. The only difference was that the second body had no consciousness. It was controlled by the main body, and had no distracting thoughts. It could only focus on cultivation. This was even faster than the main body's cultivation. Moreover, if the main body died, the consciousness could be awakened in the second body. This was equivalent to having an extra life. How heaven-defying was this? Chapter 948. Moreover, the twin life restriction also had a success rate. If the first attempt was unsuccessful, the second attempt would be much more dangerous. Amazing, too amazing. No wonder there are two sets of heaven and earth jade essence here. They were prepared for the twin life restriction. Lu Ming was amazed. His heart palpitated with excitement. Anyone who saw such a heaven-defying secret technique would be tempted. Coincidentally, there are two sets of heaven and earth jade essence. One is for Senior Juyang, and the other is for me to cultivate the twin life restriction. If I don't succeed in the first attempt, then forget it. Lu Ming thought to himself. Then, he carefully closed the metal box and put it away. Naturally, such a secret technique could not be cultivated now. Other than the heaven and earth jade essence, other materials were needed, especially materials to nourish the soul. He could only cultivate it after the Battle of Providence was over. Let's look at the Book of Providence. With a thought, the Book of Providence appeared. Lu Ming discovered that his luck points had increased to more than 300,000. In other words, this trip to Sky Poison Island had increased his luck points by more than 200,000. This time, it was truly a great opportunity. 9 totem poles have appeared. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly narrowed. He realized that the Book of Providence had indicated that 9 totem poles had appeared. There was only 1 totem pole left before he could open the ancient city of Providence. It seems that quite a lot of time has passed. The Battle of Providence will probably end soon. Lu Ming estimated that he had stayed here for at least a few months. It's time to go out. After putting away the items, Lu Ming looked around. After confirming that there was nothing else, Lu Ming strode out. Walking out of the cave, the outside was still filled with dense poisonous gas. Lu Ming unleashed his devouring power and covered his body to resist the poisonous gas. Then he strode out. After leaving the cave, Lu Ming's footsteps became faster and faster. He crossed thousands of miles in the blink of an eye. After a few thousand miles, poisonous insects began to appear. However, Lu Ming's cultivation had improved greatly, and his combat strength was much stronger than before. Naturally, he passed through them easily. Along the way, he found many spiritual herbs and picked them. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived at the heavenly poison island. On the surface of the lake, thick green poisonous gas floated. The poisonous gas would only dissipate once every 3 months. Obviously, it was not time for that yet. No, I can't wait any longer. If I'm still 10 days away from the Battle of Providence, I'll miss it if I stay here. If I rush out, the mountain and river diagram should be able to resist it, right? With a thought, Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram. There was only one mountain and river diagram floating in the air. Lu Ming was in the mountain-river diagram. He controlled the mountain-river diagram and flew toward the surface of the lake. Suddenly, the mountain-river diagram was surrounded by poisonous gas. Fortunately, the materials of the mountain and river diagram were extraordinary and of a very high grade. They successfully resisted the invasion of the poisonous gas. Soon, the mountain and river diagram crossed the lake and returned to the shore. Lu Ming emerged from the mountain and river diagram and put it away. Phew, I'm finally out. Let's go find Qi Shui and the others and see how long it is until the Battle of Providence ends. I wonder what happened during this time. With this thought in mind, Lu Ming turned into a streak of light and flew away. During this time, he sent a message to Bai Qi Shui, Wen Yuezhang, and the others, but it did not go through. It seemed that the distance was too far. Lu Ming could only fly and search for them at the same time. After flying for an entire day, covering a distance of several million miles, Lu Ming did not run into a single person. Not only did he not run into a single person, he did not even run into the three-eyed divine tribe. Strange, something's not right. I've flown for several million miles. It's impossible that I didn't run into a single person. Lu Ming frowned, feeling that something was amiss. He returned to the place where Bai Qi Shui and the others had gathered. There was also no one there. Clearly, they had left long ago. I don't believe it. Let's go to the three-eyed divine tribe's royal city and capture a few of them to ask about the situation. With a thought, Lu Ming flew in the direction of the three-eyed divine tribe's royal city, according to the map he had obtained from the three-eyed divine tribe. The three-eyed divine tribe's royal city was located at the center of this world. Lu Ming flew for an entire day before he reached the royal city's territory. Whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, there were two blood-red lights in front of him, shooting towards the north. Just as Lu Ming was about to chase after them, the two rays of light suddenly stopped and flew towards Lu Ming. The rays of light scattered and two young men appeared. The two young men were wearing blood-red robes and carrying long sabers on their backs. Their bodies emitted a powerful bloody saber intent. Could they be from the Heavenly Corpse sect? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He stared at the two young men without saying a word. Haha, there's someone from the Divine Wilderness continent here who dares to run around by himself. Let's kill him, and his luck points will belong to us. A young man with a large mole on his chin looked coldly at Lu Ming. His luck points will belong to you and his storage ring will belong to me. The other young man spoke as if Lu Ming was dead for sure. Lu Ming's heart jolted as thoughts raced through his mind. They called me someone from the Divine Wilderness continent. People from the Divine Wilderness continent would never call me that. Could it be that these two aren't from the Divine Wilderness continent? But how is that possible? Lu Ming's heart was in turmoil. Since ancient times, the War of Providence had always been carried out in different places. The 5 large territories of the Divine Wilderness continent had fought separately and had never fought together. Furthermore, they were people from other continents overseas. Now, how could people from other continents appear? It seemed that something had happened outside, while Lu Ming was on the Sky Poison Island. This kid isn't speaking. Could he be a mute? The young man with the mole on his chin sneered. Who cares? Let's just kill him. The other young man said. Where are you from? At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly spoke. Hee, so you're not a mute. Since death is near, there's no harm in telling you. We're from the Bloodblade continent. Die, kid? The young man with the mole sneered as his blade intent soared into the sky. A blood-red blade aura that was 1,000 meters long slashed violently at Lu Ming. The two young men had extremely powerful auras, having reached the 5th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. If they had been before Lu Ming had entered the Sky Poison Island, they would have been ranked around 40 or 50 on the list of top 1,000 talents. Bam! Lu Ming waved his hand slightly, and the blood-red blade aura collapsed. This caused the two young men's expressions to change. The two young men's eyes turned solemn when they saw how easily the blade aura of the young man with the mole was shattered. Bloodblade continent? Why are you here? Also, where are the geniuses of the Divine Wilderness continent? Lu Ming stepped forward, his eyes cold as he asked a few questions. Kid, go to hell and ask. The young man with the mole shouted coldly, his killing intent exploding. His blood chi soared into the sky, transforming into a huge battle saber. This technique was similar to the one practiced by Blood Sword 7 of the Heavenly Corpse sect, but the one practiced by the people of the Bloodblade continent was purer. Attack together. Chapter 949. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 blood-colored astral sabers slashed down at Lu Ming with terrifying might. Lu Ming snorted coldly as he took a step forward and sent out 2 palm strikes. With 2 crisp sounds, the 2 blood-colored astral saber lights shattered. The 2 youths from the Blood Saber continent narrowed their eyes in shock. The two of them had used almost all their strength in the earlier two slashes. However, they were easily defeated by Lu Ming. Not good. It's a peak expert. Run! The black mold youth shouted as he turned and ran. The other youth did the same. They knew that they had met a peak genius of the divine desolate continent. Lu Ming snorted coldly and stepped forward. His body was like a ray of light as he caught up to the two youths and sent out two palm strikes. Although the two youths did their best to block, they still vomited blood and crashed into the ground, leaving behind a huge crater. Lu Ming landed and a powerful aura enveloped the two youths. He said coldly, "Speak. Where are the people of the divine desolate continent? Don't even think about it. If I speak, won't I still die? Since I'm going to die, I won't speak." The black mold youth revealed a crazed look. At the same time, a bloody light flashed as if the blood in his body was burning. He roared and turned into a saber light as he charged in a certain direction. The other youth also revealed a crazed look as he turned into a saber light and charged in another direction. "You're courting death." Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and chased after the black mold youth. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, how fast could he be when using the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps? He caught up to the black mold youth in a few moments and punched, killing him. Following which, Lu Ming turned and charged at the other person. Kill. That person was incomparably crazy. Seeing that he could not escape, his eyes turned red as he charged at Lu Ming like a wild beast. However, the difference in strength was too great, so he was easily killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming frowned slightly. The cultivation techniques of the Bloodblade Continent's people were tyrannical, and they didn't fear death. They were incomparably crazy. Lu Ming hadn't been able to get any information from them. The 9 dragons' bloodline appeared and devoured the essence blood of the two youths from the Bloodblade Continent. Just now, the two of them headed north. Perhaps they'll find something there. With a thought, Lu Ming flew north. 1,000,000 miles to the north of Lu Ming, a great battle was taking place in a mountain range. On a mountain peak, light flickered. It was incomparably dazzling, and inscriptions filled the air. One after another, great formations appeared, forming a light shield that enveloped the mountain peak within. There were several hundred people on the mountain peak. All of them were disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect. A portion of them were sitting cross-legged, while the rest were continuously carving inscriptions around the mountain peak. The leader had a head of long silver hair and a pair of eyes. He was an illusion. With him as the leader, there were also Wen Yuezhang, Bai Qi, Shui, Jimai, and the others. Whoosh! Whoosh! Outside the mountain peak, blood-red saber light flashed. It was incomparably terrifying, as if it was going to split the heavens and earth apart as it slashed towards Huan Zhen and the others. The saber light slashed at the light shield, causing it to tremble continuously. Huan Zhen and the others' bodies also trembled slightly. There were more than a dozen people around the mountain peak, but a few of them had shocking auras that were incomparably terrifying. Every one of them wore blood-red robes and carried blood-red sabers on their backs. They were dressed exactly the same as the two youths from the Bloodblade Continent that Lu Ming had encountered previously. Talisman Puppet Sect, with your little strength, you can all die. A youth with blood-red hair said coldly. His strength was the most terrifying, and his aura was powerful. When he slashed out with his saber, the light shield violently trembled. Why are you so ruthless? Our Talisman Puppet Sect has no intention of fighting with you for the last totem pillar. Huanjin said. Hee, a bunch of flies. Looks like a hindrance. Moreover, you have quite a lot of luck points. You'll be a fat piece of meat if we snatch it. The youth with blood-red hair sneered. The other youths sneered as well. More than a dozen of them attacked together, slashing their saber light towards the mountain peak. Wen Yuezhang, Bai Qi, Shui and the others trembled slightly. They had exhausted a lot of their mental strength. If this continued, their mental strength would be exhausted. Once they lost the protection of the formation, the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect would only be tortured to death. The other party was too strong. This was only a portion of the people from the Bloodblade Continent, but there were two people who were at the same level as Huan Zhen. Once the formation was broken, Huan Zhen could only block one person, but the other person could easily kill the rest. Moreover, The other youths were also extremely powerful. Some people revealed bitter expressions. The battle of karmic luck this time had exceeded their expectations. There were actually heaven's prides from other continents participating. It was even more dangerous than the previous battles of karmic luck. If things went wrong, the Talisman Puppet sect might be completely annihilated. Wait a moment. I'll inscribe a formation to block them with all my strength. Hurry up and leave. Huan Jun suddenly transmitted his voice to Wen Yuezhang, Bai Qi, Shui and the others. Senior brother Huan Jun, we can't leave together. Wen Yuezhang hurriedly said. If Huan Jun stayed behind to block them alone, he would definitely be in danger. That's right. If we leave together. If we stay together. The others also shouted one after another. None of you can leave. Blood God's blade wheel. Break. The blood-red-haired youth shouted coldly. An even more terrifying aura exploded from his body. A giant blood-red will floated above his head. This blood-red will seemed to be formed by countless blood-red battle blades. It spun rapidly, and was as large as a mountain, crushing towards the light barrier of the mountain peak. Not good. Hold on. Huan Jun and the others' faces changed drastically. The mental fire between their eyebrows flickered rapidly, constantly spreading out and surging into the surrounding inscriptions. Boom! The blood-red will heavily slammed against the light barrier of the mountain peak. The earth rumbled, and the mountain peak shook violently. The light barrier that enveloped the mountain peak continuously shattered layer by layer. Huan Jun and the others' faces changed drastically. Their bodies trembled, and some of the weaker ones even spurted out a mouthful of blood. Those disciples who were sitting cross-legged, or recovering from their injuries, also stood up to help protect the formation. However, the blood-red wheel was too terrifying. It spun continuously like countless battle blades, constantly slashing at the light barrier. Bam! 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 The light barrier continued to shatter, and it looked like it was about to shatter completely. Release the puppets and use the inscription scrolls to open a path. Charge out! Huan Jun shouted. At this moment, with a boom, all the formations collapsed and the light barrier shattered. Numerous disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect released their puppets and surrounded everyone. At the same time, waves of inscription scrolls were activated. They either turned into defensive or offensive puppets, as they all charged in the same direction. Trying to escape? All of you can die. The blood-red-haired youth controlled the giant wheel and pressed forward, causing countless puppets to explode. Dozens of blade lights slashed out, also attacking the puppets and the inscription scrolls. Although the Talisman Puppet sect had a large number of disciples, most of them weren't strong, and were far inferior to the top experts of the Blood Knife continent. Among the dozens of disciples of the Blood Knife continent, the weakest was a prodigy at the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.